Today I'm going to show you how to do this super interesting, cool loose leaf binding like this. And when you're done with it, your book will open flat and you can bind individual loose leaf pages in without folding them. You can do finished pages or make a journal to work in. This is just a really cool binding. I learned this from Annabeth Martin, and her YouTube channel is Bag Full of Treasure. I will link to it below in the video description. And I really encourage y'all to go over there and see how she did this, because mine's a little bit of a modified version. But she made this incredible fat, happy journal out of a coconut shell purse that she modified and made into the cover. It's super cool, and you're going to want to see how she does it. Plus, she's one of those channels, like there's just tons out there now that are trying desperately to meet the requirements to become a YouTube partner, or to re-become a YouTube partner because they were departnerized. I believe she probably has enough video views, but she needs subscribers. So if you go over there and check out her channel, if you like what you see, please subscribe and help her to get to that 1,000 subscribers so that she can not only monetize, but she can access those features that are only available to YouTube partners. There are a few. So that's what we're going to do today. Show you how to do this. You can do several different ways we'll talk about. I like the open spine because I think the stitching just looks really cool, all exposed like that. But you can do a closed spine cover. Let me show you. This was a prototype. I didn't do it quite right, but you'll get the idea. See, it's got the wraparound cover. Yeah, you can do it either way, works fine. But for this demonstration, since this is really all about how to do the binding and not so much create the whole book, we're just going to do the exposed spine. So what you're going to need, okay, you're going to need some papers for your book and a couple of covers. And I had a bunch of jelly printed stenciled pages that I made when I was using the stencils from a Colorful Life Designs. So I've got just tons of random stenciled pages, and I chose 10. And then my covers are these covers that I made years ago. There's probably a video out there somewhere. I'll see if I can dig it out of the archives and link to it. But it's just a collaged paint pen, you know, random cover, whatever. Cut 2 pieces. These are half of a sheet of paper, so they measure 5.5 by 8.5. So for the covers, I wanted my spine to have pages all the same length. So everything is 8.5 long, but instead of 5.5 wide, I made it like 5 3/4 maybe. Just a tad longer than the pages so that it sticks out a little bit. In fact, it looks like my front cover is longer than my back one. I'm going to cut just a smidge off of this. Okay, now let's see. Oh, that's better. Okay. So yeah, you want them just slightly longer than your interior pages, no more than about 1/4 inch. But you want your spine length to be all the same. Okay? And like I said, I've got 10 pages here. You can do, you know, lots and lots of pages or just a few, whatever you prefer. So you're going to need that. You're going to need, if you have a mat like this, a gridded mat, that's going to make it, one part of this, a little bit easier. But if you don't worry about it. You just will probably need a ruler. You're going to need some kind of a pokey tool. You're going to need a needle. If you have one of these curved needles, this is ideal. If you don't, then just use a regular, bookbinding type needle, tapestry needle, heavy embroidery needle, just a substantial needle. But these curved ones are going to make this easier. And by the way, I have one of those Amazon affiliate influencer shops. I don't even know what you call it. But it's a place where I can put stuff that I buy from Amazon. I can put links to it in the shop and then send you the link to the shop so that you can go get exactly what I've got as long as Amazon has it. One of those things. It is an affiliate thing that I get like 4 cents if you buy something. So there is that. But I appreciate those 4 cents and really, really need them. But anyway, if you want like this needle, I did get this on Amazon. And down in the video description, I'll put a link to my Amazon page where you can go and pick up some of the things that I show here if you want those exact same things. So, curved needle if you've got it. You're going to need some string. And this is not what I normally would bind books with. I usually use wax linen. I found that it is not ideal for this particular binding. I prefer just a cotton twine, like a shipping twine or a baker's twine or kite string or something like that. It's kind of heavy. And if you've got some of that, this kind of baker's twine, then you can use that. It's a little bit skinnier than this, but it'll work just fine. But I just found that a nice heavy string is better than a skinny one. Okay, you're going to need some tape. I'm using artist tape. You can use masking tape. Washi tape's probably not ideal since it's not very sticky. And duct tape is not ideal because it's too sticky. So something like a masking tape, paper tape, you can use first aid tape is a good one too. Just some kind of a, not too heavy, not too sticky tape you're going to need. You might need a pen to mark with. You might need a clamp. That's not mandatory. You're going to need a sheet of scrap paper to use as a punching template. And you're probably going to need some scissors. They don't even have to be clean, obviously. And maybe a blade if you have a mat that you're using. Okay, so those are kind of the things that you're going to need. Now, like I said, this is a loose leaf binding. This is not for signatures, for folded signatures. This is for flat sheets of paper that you want to keep flat. So if you've got like finished loose leaf journal pages and you want to combine them all together, this is ideal for that. Or you've got painted papers that you want to bind into a book and you don't want to fold them in half, this is what you need for that. There's just very few of these loose leaf type bindings that are done by hand. A lot of them are, there's the 3-ring binders or the loose binder rings or the discs, or the, there's those hinge strips, adhesive hinge strips you can buy and put on there. There's options. But this is a handmade option. When you're done, you're going to have a complete artist book. Handmade from all the way from the pages to the binding. So this is not a quick, easy way to store loose leaf pages. If you need that, get your 3-ring binder because this is not that kind of thing. This takes a little time and effort. Not difficult, but it does take some time. But I mean, to me, it's worth it because you get something super awesome like this, and that's just totally cool. So let's get busy. Let's assume we've got our pages all cut to the size that we want. Now the next thing that we're going to do is make our spine, reinforce our spine. And we do that with the tape, the masking tape, and the string. So this is where we're going right here. The masking tape and the string in the sort of this zigzag fashion That's going to make a strong spine so that when we poke our holes, it's just almost impossible to pull the pages out. They are in there, they're in there good. So, I'll show you how I do that. This is where this mat comes in handy. Usually just take my piece of, there it is, tape, and pull it out kind of long. Then I take one of my interior pages and I just kind of eyeball it. I want my tape to be just a tiny bit more narrow than my page, and that is just so that the tape doesn't hang off of the end. So if I could get it exact, that's what I would do, but I'm terrible at lining it up. So I make my tape just a tiny bit narrower than my page, and I don't measure. I just kind of lay it out like this. See, and here's where I need to zoom, don't I? See, over on this end, I've got the tape just inside the edge of the page, and I want it the same on this end. So I'm going to cut it about right there. See, just inside. And then I'm going to move this over. End of the tape is just inside. And then I'm going to do the same thing here and slice it right there. And I'm going to do that for the number of pages that I have, which in this case is 10. So that one. And then I just lay out another strip, and I don't have to use my page this time. Just do this. Doesn't have to be exact. And then just use the marks that I already made to cut here, here, and here. Alrighty, now I want to take, oh, my covers, 12. Whoops! 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. Okay, apparently I can't count. That's okay. Okay, now we're going to take and put your pages together in the orientation that you want them. Make sure your covers are the orientation that you want them. Okay. This is my spine edge right here. This is where I'm going to bind, so this is where I want my tape. So I take my spine edge, lay it down here. This is also where this grid comes in handy. If you really want your tape to be even, you've got an inch wide, you want a ½ inch on each side, then this helps. Because I can just line it up. I've got it kind of even. And that way I'll have it, well, that doesn't really look even at all. In a perfect world, that would be even. Okay. But I don't really care. So, you can just eyeball it. If you want it perfect, use the grid. If not, don't bother. But I'm going to lay these aside so that the tape doesn't stick to each other, and just kind of get them out of the way. Okay, was that my, yes, okay. This is my next one. And then I'm just going to stack these like that aside and keep going until I'm done. Okay, I've got all my pages taped on one edge, just, halfway. I've got the other sticky side up. Now I'm going to put my string in. This is the only confusing part for me because you have to zigzag and I'm just terrible with that kind of thing. But okay, I'll do my best to explain it so that we don't get too confused. Let's come in a little bit so I can show you. For each page, you are going to want to lay your string. I leave a little bit of an end off this first one. Lay your string down right on the edge where the edge of the paper meets the tape. So it's on the tape right up against the edge of the paper. Just like that. Okay? Then you just fold the tape over. And then I just kind of burnish it up against the string. And there you have it. That is your reinforced spine. Okay? Now, the next page, now you can do this in whatever direction and hold it however is easiest for you. But here's what I do. Okay, this next one, this book is going to be like this. So I have to decide which side I want up against this one. Okay, in this case, it doesn't matter. You know, some of these, it might matter. I might not want the same color next to each other or whatever. This case, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this like so. And what you're going to want to do is for every page that you add, you're going to leave a little gap between the pages, like about 1/8 of an inch. Doesn't have to be very much, doesn't have to be exact, you don't need to measure, just eyeball a little gap. Put this page down. Okay, we're going to do our fold over thing, like so. And that gap is just so that this moves freely. And if they're right up next to each other, that can be a problem. So that gap is just for free movement. And it's about, like I said, maybe 1/8 of an inch between the ends of the pages, not the ends of the tape, because your tape is shorter, between the edges of your pages. Okay? You're going to do that for every one of them. So now when this closes, it's going to be like that. Okay? Now the next page, okay, this one closes like this one's going to be like that. So these two are going to be facing each other. I have to decide which one I want facing. Do I want it to open like that, or do I want it to open like that? Oops. I think I want it to open like this, so I'm going to tape it just like this. This will make more sense to you when I get to one that I have to flip. There we go. So we've got this going on. This is going to be how the book opens, right? Okay, go to the next one. Okay, see this one? Here's a good example. This one is going to fold like this, which means these are going to be facing pages. And I don't want that because they're the same color. I want this to be the facing page. Therefore, I need to attach it like that. So I'm going to flip this over so I can see what I'm doing. Line up my string. Fold it over. And, okay, just like that, just like that, and this goes like that. So we're good. Okay, and this back cover. Is that going to be right? Nope. It's going to go this way so that it goes like that. This will kind of make sense once you do it a few times and then you do it wrong a few times. Then you'll kind of understand the zigzag, which way to fold it thing. When you're done, snip your string, done with that. That is really the only kind of tricky part of this, is just lining them up for the zigzag. Okay? Alrighty, now, pretty simple from here on out. It does take some time, but nothing difficult. I've got a piece of paper the same size as my sheets here, and I've got it marked where I want to punch. So what I'm going to do is line this up on the edge. I want the holes just underneath my little string, like so. Helps if you have a pen that writes on the particular tape that you're using. Clearly this one doesn't. Okay, there we go. Make your holes, punch them just underneath your string. See? This is the purpose of that string, is to keep your pages from pulling off. They won't pull off because you've got this whole piece across here. So this is what, to me, makes this just an ideal loose leaf binding. Hold your pages tight and they do not pull out. You've got to remember that your covers are a little bit taller, so you want to stack them so that this is even. And then I just use that first hole to punch the rest. You can do them one at a time. You can do them 3 or 4 at a time, whatever you're most comfortable with. Just line it up and poke. Now, once you got all your holes punched, you're ready to sew. Now usually we'll go through with my pokey tool and kind of ream them out a little bit bigger, because you do want fairly large holes. You know, we're using fairly large string. So, okay. Now I haven't really figured out the formula for how to measure off the exact amount of string that you need. Plus, it's really going to depend on how many pages that you have. So I usually just pull off, yeah, about a yard. Just to be on the safe side. And really, because of the way that this is stitched, you need to have enough extra string to circle around comfortably. And I'll show you what I mean. So, threaded my needle. Now, this is kind of like the pamphlet stitch, in that however you start, that's how you're going to end up. So, and you can leave tails or you can cut them off. You know, in mine, like this one, I attached some beads, so I cut off the tails. But you can leave them, you can cut them off, whatever. It's easier too if you just go ahead, if you have little extra tails here when you were doing your zigzag thing, go ahead and cut those off so they're out of the way. I just cut them flush with my tape. Now, I think I'm going to want my tails on the front, just in case I want to dangle some beads or something. So I'm going to start through the front, and I'm going to go take my needle through each and every page. this one doesn't even look like it got poked. The 4 times I went back through and poked everything, this one failed. Okay, that's all right. So just go through your holes. And always remember, if you end up, you know, poking a new hole that wasn't there before, that's okay. That is just an air hole. And your journal needs to breathe. So don't worry about it. My books always have extra holes. Okay. Now, I'm debating on whether or not I should show you the real way that I do this. Because I hold it between my knees. And this is the way I've always done. This is very similar to a Coptic stitch book where you do the kettle stitch that goes round and round. It's not exactly the same because this one you don't end up with the kettle stitch, you end up with a knot. But it's the same kind of going around. And it's easier for me if I hold it in my knees. Now, you might find it easier to clamp your pages, which you can do, but you know, knees are a good clamp, whatever. But I'll try to show you on this tabletop, and if this doesn't work, then we're gonna have to go to the knees. Okay? All right, let's scooch in here so you can see exactly what's happening. So, we went all the way through. Leave about an 8-inch or so tail. Start from the end where your needle came out. And you're going to make a knot between each page. You're going to make your knot snug but not tight. You want it almost a little bit loose. Okay, let me show you. The knot itself you want snug, but the strings you want loose. It makes no sense, I know. Here we go. Okay, loop around. Doesn't matter if you go this way or this way, just make sure that you're consistent all the way through. Loop around, back through to make the half hitch, and then you want it up against your page and pull it snug. Okay? Now let's do that again. And then just stack that one on top of the one you just did. Pull it snug. Now you want to come over to the next one, and here's where you want to have a little bit of loose going on. Okay. Go ahead and start your knot like so. Back around like so. You're going to want to have a little bit of space. See that little piece right there that jumps from one knot to the next? Make sure that your knots are not right up next to each other. You want to leave a little space. You want your knot to be snug, but you want that space. Okay? And then go around like so. And up through, making your knot. Still got my space, but my knot is snug. So move to the next one. You can see this is not difficult. This is really easy. You are just making knots between each page. This is an easy thing to do while you're watching TV on the couch, so you can hold it between your knees. See, I'm making sure I've got my little thing there. And then go back around. Making my knot. tighten my knot, but make sure that my space between is still there. Okay, I'm going to go around and make this last knot between my last two pages. Like so. Alright, there we have it. Knot between each page. We get to the last one. Come out here, and I had a whole bunch of string left, which I trimmed off, and we're going to finish it off in a knot. Just tie that tight. And you can leave some danglies if you like the dangly look. You can, put charms or beads or feathers or whatever off of it. Or you can just snip them tight up against there. If you have knot trust issues, you can just put just a tiny dab of super glue on there to hold them. So that is all there is to this binding. All we do that 2 more times, here and here. Exact same process. So I'll get it started one more time just to show you. Cut off way more thread than you're gonna need. Go through my holes. Don't worry about poking extra air holes. It's all good. Then I like to go through and make sure that I've grabbed all of my pages, because experience has shown me that I don't always do that. And it looks like I've grabbed them all. Then I start my knotting. Snug, but not tight. And oh, did you hear my stomach? Oh my gosh, I'm starving. Leaving a little space. I know you really can't see, I already did the close-up part, so this is just the wide angle view. And move to the next one. You do want to make sure that you keep the same tension, the same amount of space, that little piece I showed you not to over tighten. Keep the same amount on each one so that your book isn't wonky, because that will make your book wonky if you do one really tight and the other loose. Yeah, you want to just keep it the same throughout. And keep going. Okay, I'm going to finish this out, and then we will, I'll come back at the end and show you what we have. So here we have it. Our little book is done. And if you do a smaller book, you may only need 2 sections of holes punched, and that's fine. I did that on some of my smaller ones. Larger ones you need 3. Really, really large ones you might want to do 5 or 4. You don't have to do even or odd numbers with this. You can do whatever you want. So you get this nice book, and the pages open completely flat. And they're in there sturdy. Can't pull them out. They're not going to fall out. You can use wet media. It'll take the wet media that you use, and the amount that you use really is just going to depend on the string. This cotton string, when you get it wet, it's going to stretch a little bit, so keep that in mind. For me, I use this mainly for completed stuff or things that I'm going to collage on. I wouldn't do a ton of wet media in it just because it's going to really narf up my pretty binding. But it is possible is what I'm saying. And it's easy because of how nice and flat that it lays. Every page just turns beautifully. So this is a new loose leaf binding thanks to Annabeth Martin. Y'all don't forget to go and visit her YouTube channel and subscribe. And you know what? Let's do a giveaway. Should we do a giveaway? I think I want to give this away and this away and all of these other prototypes that I made while I was trying to figure this out. Because I've got all of these, you know, these were kind of fails. I learned what not to do, and they're just taking up space, and I hate to pitch them. So I think what I'm going to do is just put together 2 boxes, you know, put some of these in each box, maybe with some other stuff, and give it away. So I will put a link down in the video description where you can go over to Rafflecopter. You can enter the drawing. The drawing is going to run today through February the 10th. That's Saturday. So you have until Saturday night to go over, and that'll be like midnight Central Time. You have till Saturday night to go over and enter the drawing, and then I will do the drawing sometime on Sunday. I'll post the video when I get the drawing done so you'll know who won. And that will get some of these out of my hands so that they won't just stack up with all the other stuff I'm hoarding and not really using. So I have another one here that I'm going to use for myself. I got to finish it out, but this one I'm going to keep for me. So that is all I have. Thank you for watching. Go enter the drawing and make one of these books. If you make one, I'd love to see a picture. You can post it over in my Facebook group. You'll find that link below. And that's all. The end.